The EU accession procedure is a rather long and pain-striking process. Experts warn the methodology remains unchanged. The state must meet the norms of 6 clusters, divided into 35 negotiation sections.
По каждой этой главе будет приниматься отдельно.
There will be a separate decision on each of these chapters, and there should be a consensus here. All countries, all representatives of countries will have to vote and say that yes, indeed, Ukraine has done everything necessary, and now it meets the requirements of the European Union and the legislation that exists.
The changes apply to such areas as free trade, intellectual property law, competition policy, fisheries, energy, taxation, justice, education and culture, and financial control. In March 2024, it is already planned to approve the negotiating framework. The EU leadership will agree on it with all member states. This is the first round of negotiations.
Будет готовиться так называемая переговорная рамка.
A so-called negotiation framework will be prepared, which will contain certain principles for the next negotiations. After that, the first intergovernmental conference should take place, and the legislation of the candidate country, in this case Ukraine, should be screened as well.
After that, Kyiv will work together with its partners to bring Ukrainian legislation closer to European requirements. At the same time, if exceptions for Ukraine or additional conditions are agreed upon, all this will take place within the framework of the official negotiation process.
It is important to realize that we need to adapt all European legislation. You cannot, for example, harmonize competition rules and environmental rules. Ukraine has to catch up with everything that the European Union has been working on for years, as well as adopting new norms. In total, there are about 28,000 norms, most of them formal, 4,400 of those that need to be implemented. Ukraine has already implemented 1,400, with 3,000 more to go. Veronika Movchan, Research Director at the Institute for Economic Research and Policy Consultant from publication in Forbes.
Experts say that the timing of Ukraine's accession to the EU depends on both Kyiv and Brussels. It is in Ukraine's interest to step up the pace of reforms, while Brussels, on their side, will have to be engaged in the dialogue and soften the EU enlargement policy.
We are still working on the multi-annual framework. This is a difficult debate, and I'm confident that in the hours to come, we will manage to make a decision to be united on this topic. We want to support Ukraine with more financial assistance, point one. But we also want to take into account the priorities of the European Union and to adapt our multi-annual framework.
According to experts, the negotiation process may last until the year 2030. In addition to difficulties in the implementation of European legislation, disagreements within the EU itself may arise. For example, Ukraine is a direct competitor for several EU countries in the agricultural sector. Their leaders may slow down decisions in the interest of their own economies. Reported by Anastasia Tarnavska, Larisa Zubenko, UATV News.